The 1970s produced some of cinema's greatest World War II films, combining spectacular action with serious examination of war's human cost. Post-Vietnam filmmakers brought new realism and moral complexity to World War II stories, creating epic adventures that balanced entertainment with genuine historical insight and emotional depth. 10. The Boys from Brazil, 1978. Franklin J. Schaffner's thriller follows Nazi hunter Ezra Lieberman pursuing Dr. Joseph Mengelé's horrifying cloning experiment. Gregory Peck delivers a chilling performance as Mengele, while Laurence Olivier brings dignity to the aging Nazi hunter, discovering the scope of genetic horror. The film's premise, Mengele creating Hitler clones to continue the Reich, combines historical fact with speculative science fiction. The movie explores themes about evil's persistence and the continuing threat of Nazi ideology decades after the war's end. Jerry Goldsmith's haunting score enhances the paranoid atmosphere, while the international locations create authentic global conspiracy thriller. The film's exploration of genetic manipulation and racial ideology feels remarkably contemporary. While some critics found the premise outlandish, the performances and direction create genuine suspense about fascism's potential resurrection. The movie's warnings about scientific ethics and political extremism remain disturbingly relevant. 9. Cross of Iron, 1977. Sam Peckinpah's brutal Eastern Front epic follows German soldiers fighting desperate retreat against Soviet forces. James Coburn stars as Sergeant Steiner, a cynical veteran whose conflicts with aristocratic officers reflect broader themes about military hierarchy and survival. Peckinpah's direction emphasizes war's savage reality through visceral combat sequences and authentic battlefield conditions. The film refuses to romanticize warfare, presenting combat as chaotic brutality that destroys everyone it touches, regardless of nationality. The movie's focus on German perspectives challenged audiences accustomed to Allied heroics. Peckinpah presents enemy soldiers as complex human beings rather than cartoon villains, creating moral ambiguity rare in war cinema. The production design creates convincing Eastern Front environments through practical locations and realistic military equipment. The film's attention to historical detail and authentic weaponry enhances the brutal atmosphere. Cross of Iron's unflinching examination of war's dehumanizing effects and its refusal to provide comfortable heroics make it one of cinema's most honest combat films, proving that effective war movies must confront, rather than celebrate, violence. 8. MacArthur, 1977. Joseph Sargent's biographical epic chronicles General Douglas MacArthur's controversial Pacific campaign through Gregory Peck's commanding performance. The film spans from the Philippines' defeat through Japanese occupation victory, examining the complex personality behind military legend. Peck brings dignity and arrogance to MacArthur's character, capturing both his strategic brilliance and egotistical flaws. The performance balances heroic achievement with human limitation, creating nuanced portrait of controversial military leader. The Pacific Theater locations and elaborate battle sequences showcase the scope of MacArthur's campaigns through impressive practical effects and authentic military equipment. The film's attention to historical detail creates convincing wartime atmosphere. The movie's exploration of civilian-military relations and political accountability feels remarkably relevant. MacArthur's conflicts with Truman over Korean War strategy provide lessons about democratic oversight of military power. Jerry Goldsmith's patriotic score enhances the epic scope, while the screenplay balances admiration with critical examination. MacArthur demonstrates that effective biographical war films must present complex characters rather than simple heroes or villains. 7. The Eagle Has Landed, 1976. John Sturges' thriller presents a fictional German plot to kidnap Winston Churchill during a countryside visit. Michael Caine leads a team of elite paratroopers disguised as Polish forces in this suspenseful alternate history adventure. The film's premise allows exploration of honor among enemies, while maintaining thriller excitement. Caine's performance brings humanity to German soldiers portrayed as professionals rather than fanatics, challenging audience expectations about wartime morality. Donald Sutherland provides strong support as the conflicted IRA operative torn between Irish independence and British survival. The ensemble cast creates believable relationships despite the fantastic premise. The English countryside locations and period details create authentic 1940s atmosphere through careful production design. The film's attention to military equipment and tactical procedures enhances the realistic thriller approach. While historically fictional, the movie's exploration of military honor and moral choices during wartime resonates with authentic themes. The Eagle Has Landed proves that speculative war fiction can illuminate genuine human conflicts within historical frameworks. 6. Patton, 1970. Franklin J. Schaffner's biographical masterpiece earned George C. Scott his legendary Oscar for portraying the controversial general. The film chronicles Patton's North African and European campaigns while examining the complex personality behind military genius. Scott's towering performance captures Patton's contradictions: brilliant strategist and reckless egoist, inspirational leader and difficult subordinate. The actor brings depth to a character who could easily become caricature in less skilled hands. The battle sequences, particularly the North African tank warfare, showcase spectacular practical effects and authentic military equipment. The film's scope encompasses both intimate character study and epic war action. The movie's exploration of military leadership and civilian oversight remains remarkably relevant. Patton's conflicts with superiors over strategy and public relations provide lessons about democratic control of military power. Jerry Goldsmith's stirring score enhances both the epic battles and intimate character moments. Patton demonstrates that effective biographical war films require both spectacular action and deep psychological insight into their subjects' complex personalities. 5. The Tindrum, 1979. Volker Schlöndorff's adaptation of Günter Grass's novel follows young Oscar, who refuses to grow up during Nazi Germany's rise. This surreal masterpiece uses magical realism to examine fascism's impact on ordinary German society. David Bennett delivers an extraordinary performance as Oscar, whose supernatural abilities and moral clarity expose adult corruption and political compromise. The child's perspective provides unique insight into how ordinary people enabled totalitarian horror. The film's blend of dark comedy and historical tragedy creates unique tone that challenges conventional war movie approaches. Schlöndorff's direction balances surreal elements with authentic period detail. The production design creates convincing Nazi-era atmosphere through careful attention to historical accuracy. The film's exploration of how fascism corrupted daily life provides important perspective on totalitarian society. The Tindrum's Academy Award victory proved international audiences were ready for challenging war cinema that examined moral complexity rather than simple heroics. The film demonstrates that effective World War II movies must confront uncomfortable truths about human nature. 4. A Bridge Too Far, 1977. Richard Attenborough's epic chronicles Operation Market Garden, the failed Allied attempt to end the war by Christmas 1944. The all-star cast includes Sean Connery, Michael Caine, and Anthony Hopkins in this ambitious recreation of military disaster. The film's scope encompasses multiple perspectives on the doomed operation, from high command planning to frontline combat. Attenborough balances spectacular battle sequences with intimate character development across the enormous ensemble. The practical effects and authentic locations create convincing recreation of the Dutch battlefield. The film's attention to historical accuracy and military detail enhances the dramatic impact of strategic failure. The movie's themes about military hubris and the cost of ambitious planning resonate beyond historical context. The film examines how political pressure and ego can override tactical wisdom with tragic consequences. John Addison's score enhances both the epic scope and tragic outcome, while the cinematography captures the beauty and horror of mechanized warfare. A Bridge Too Far proves that spectacular war epics can maintain historical honesty while delivering entertainment. 3. Apocalypse Now, 1979. Francis Ford Coppola's hallucinogenic Vietnam epic transcends its immediate setting to become meditation on all warfare's madness. Martin Sheen's journey upriver to eliminate Colonel Kurtz becomes descent into moral darkness that exposes war's fundamental corruption. While technically about Vietnam, the film's themes about imperialism, military excess, and civilizational breakdown apply to all conflicts, including World War II. Coppola uses wartime setting to explore universal questions about power and morality. The production's legendary chaos mirrors its subject matter, with Coppola nearly suffering breakdown while creating his vision of warfare as collective insanity. The film's surreal imagery challenges conventional war movie approaches. Robert Duvall's helicopter commander and Marlon Brando's rogue colonel provide contrasting examples of military leadership corrupted by unlimited power. The ensemble performances create unforgettable gallery of war's human cost. Apocalypse Now's influence on war cinema cannot be overstated. The film proves that effective war movies must examine conflict's psychological and moral consequences rather than simply celebrating military action or heroism. 2. The Deer Hunter, 1978. Michael Cimino's epic Vietnam drama traces how war destroys friendship among Pennsylvania steelworkers. While focusing on Vietnam, the film's themes about combat trauma and social breakdown apply to all major conflicts, including World War II. Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, and John Savage deliver career-defining performances as ordinary men whose bonds are severed by combat experience. The film's three-act structure explores how war permanently changes everyone it touches. The famous Russian roulette sequences, while controversial, create powerful metaphors for war's random brutality and psychological damage. Cimino's direction builds mounting tension through careful character observation. The Deer Hunter's influence on war cinema demonstrates its lasting power despite initial controversy. The film proves that effective war movies must examine conflict's impact on ordinary people rather than focusing solely on military action. 1. Das Boot, 1981. Wolfgang Petersen's Submarine Masterpiece follows U-boat crew during desperate Atlantic patrols. While technically from 1981, the film's 1970s production and themes place it within the decade's realistic approach to war cinema. Jürgen Prochnow leads the ensemble cast through claustrophobic underwater nightmare that refuses to romanticize submarine warfare. The film presents German sailors as complex human beings rather than cartoon enemies. The practical submarine sets and authentic underwater sequences create visceral experience of submarine combat. Petersen's direction emphasizes realistic naval warfare over spectacular action sequences. The film's exploration of military duty, survival instinct, and moral compromise transcends national boundaries. The crew's experience reflects universal themes about young men facing death in mechanized warfare. These 1970s war classics combined spectacular action with serious examination of conflict's human cost. Each film brought new realism and moral complexity to World War II storytelling that modern blockbusters rarely match. Which wartime masterpiece will you experience first? Subscribe for more essential cinema retrospectives.